What's up, you guys? It's your commissioner speaking, and week 2 is wrapped and in the books, and let's keep it there for a while. A ton of injuries this week, you guys. 2020 continues to definitely shock us all. So in this case, injuries and injuries. But let's get right to the gut, okay, you guys? Let's start with our nice little highlights of the players. Did you make the highlight this week? Let's find out. That's right. So week 2, like I mentioned, is not the greatest week of all, but there's still a lot of time left. It's only week 2. We already have 5 teams 2-0 and 5 teams 0-2. So we're pretty split up the middle. I believe only Cody and Gabe are actually in the 1-1. Everyone else, you're either undefeated or you are in the 0-2 club, like I called it earlier. But anyway, you guys, so yeah, so this week we had quite a few high scores, definitely. But yeah, let's go check out the quarterback this week. Let's see who it is. Dak Prescott, very impressive. 34 completions, 450 yards, 1 passing touchdown, but he ran 3 touchdowns in for a whopping 68.3 points. And that is Aaron's quarterback, so good job, sir. Running back, wow, this one was definitely impressive as well. Check it out. Aaron Jones, 18 rushing attempts for 168 yards. He caught 4 passes for 68 yards. 2 rushing touchdowns, 1 passing touchdown. Crazy, ridiculous, 67.6 fantasy points. And that is on Gabriel's team. So that is obviously one hell of a week for Aaron Jones. Definitely one if you pair up with Christian McCaffrey, right? But we got a disclaimer on him coming up. All right, well, let's check out the quarterback. I'm sorry, the wide receiver. Yep, the guy that took all my passes away. Calvin Ridley, 7 receptions, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 34.9 fantasy points, which is very solid. That is Leno's wide receiver. And of course, my Julio Jones had like 4 points. And then my Michael Thomas is out. And that's a different subject. But Leno, good job on Calvin Ridley. I mean, on all the mock drafts you did, I remember you wanted to get Calvin Ridley like crazy. And it's paying off, so that's pretty good. Oh, speaking of Leno, check out our tight end. My boy Darren Waller, whopping 12 receptions, 103 yards, which it feels like it should have been like 300 yards. 1 touchdown, 32.3, and then of course that is also Leno's tight end. So Leno, you stood the wide receiver and the tight end this week, so good job. And check out the kicker. That's right, Mr. Younghoe Koo. The kicker for the Falcons, which happens to be my kicker, right? He had 3 extra point attempts, 4 field goals for 22 fantasy points. For a kicker, that's really good. I'll take it. So yeah, that is my kicker from the Falcons. And last but not least, defense. Check out who made it. The Colts, right? Pretty good. 3 sacks, 3 interceptions, and they only allowed 11 fantasy points. I mean, to be that 11 points to be scored on them, so that's pretty good. That's 39 fantasy points. That's pretty solid. I mean, obviously with some bigger ones in the 60s, right? But 39 is very acceptable, and that is Gabriel's defense. So that's pretty good. So yeah, so that puts together the highlighted players this week. So Dak Prescott, Aaron Jones, Calvin Ridley, Darren Waller, Younghoe Koo, and the Colts. What's cool about Aaron Jones, that last week we had Aaron Rodgers and Devante Adams pair up for the highest, right? Like crazy. They combined for over 100 points. this week was the running game. So I guess you never know nowadays, right? So yeah, you guys, like I mentioned, right now there are 5 teams undefeated. There are 5 teams 0-2, and only 2 people in the middle. But we need to talk about injuries. There's a ton of injuries. I mean, I literally, no, like for real, like I made a list of all the injuries, right? Granted, some of them are carrying over from week 1, but they're still injured, or they did not play because of the week 1 injury. But there are a ton of names, guys. I mean, I'm not gonna go through this whole list and get you guys bored, but some of the highlighted players you guys should know already. Christian McCaffrey, he's gonna be out for a couple weeks. Saquon Barkley, he's out for the season. Julio Jones, my other freaking wide receiver, he's day to day with a hamstring injury, so we gotta keep an eye on that. Philip Lindsay, sprained toe, out 2 to 4 weeks. My other wide receiver, Cortland Sutton, torn ACL and MCL. He's out for the season. Kenny Golladay might come back though, week 3. Devontae Adams got a hamstring injury, but he's expected to play week 3. Just keep an eye. Same thing with AJ Brown. We know, of course, in the beginning of the week that Marlon Mack was ruled out. So Jonathan Taylor took over. Some kind of I caught a break on that one. Sammy Watkins is on the concussion protocol. God, it's just too many names. I already mentioned all of those. Let's see, Sammy Watkins, Malcolm Brown, right, the running back for the Rams. He injured his pinky. He got a surgery, so his status is still pending. So we got to keep an eye on that. Cam Akers, rib injury, so we have to keep an eye on that. So that's two players from the same team in the same position. You know what that means. I have a little subject on that in a minute. Devontae Parker, hamstring injury. James White, death in the family, so he didn't play. So many. Of course, I also had Michael Thomas out this week. They're saying he might potentially play. Gotta keep an eye, so he might not play still though, but that's not new news, you know, he was already out. Yeah, too many guys, too many. We got some running backs, wide receivers, even quarterbacks. Drew Lock from Denver, you know, he's one of the ones that went out. I believe the, who was it? The Chargers quarterback, right? Tyler Taylor, right? So he had some kind of issue before the game, so his replacement came in and actually kicked ass. So, so there wasn't much of a issue there unless you had him as your starting quarterback. But I'm gonna do one little thing today, you guys, that I never really do because of conflict of interest. So that is waiver wire. Just because there's so many injured players out there, and I don't know how many of you actually put in your time to actually find, you know, a replacement. Granted, you could just go to the free agency. Normally they already, you know, by popularity they just go up to see like which are the bigger popular players among the free agents. I'm just gonna throw you a couple names that are most likely already on that list, but if you lost a running back or you need a running back, obviously Darrell Henderson from the Rams, since the other 2 Ram running backs are potentially missing time, potentially. So Darrell Henderson might be a really good replacement. Dion Lewis with the Barkley injury, right? I don't think I mentioned Barkley, did I? Yeah, I didn't mention Barkley. He's out for the season. But anyway, yeah, Dion Lewis might be a really good replacement, although there's you know, news in the air that the Giants might actually pick up a player, which that's kind of why I jumped on Devonta Freeman. Just remember, you guys, a couple of things about, since we're talking about injured players and replacements and waiver wire, please remember this season is a new addition, which is the IR spot. So if your player is ruled out or placed on IR, it should allow you to place that player onto your reserve spot, and you could pick someone else up without having to drop anybody. Does that make sense? So, like, for example, for those of you that lost, let's see, what's a good example? who is out for a couple weeks. Like you say, you had Philip Lindsay, right? So he's expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks. So he's technically not even going to play at all. You should be able to play Philip Lindsay on your reserve, and then you simply pick someone off the waiver wire, or if the waiver wires are no longer, if they're not locked, you can just easily pick them up from the free agency. You should be able to just pick them right up without having to drop anybody. But as soon as that player becomes eligible to play, meaning I believe they're questionable, I think even doubtful is not acceptable there. It's got to be literally ruled out or IR. Once they're no longer in the IR or the out category, you will have to place that person back into your normal roster. And then, of course, you will then have to drop whoever you picked up, while the IR spot was being utilized. Because you cannot have an IR player that does not qualify to win the IR. And I believe if you keep that player there, it's going to be an issue on your starting lineup, and it might actually mess things up. So just keep an eye on that. Since it's very new this year, just remember you have a reserve spot that you could utilize. 2020, right? It was meant for COVID stuff, just in case, the players get ruled out because of COVID issues or whatever. But with all these injuries, I'm kind of glad I put a reserve spot on there for that purpose. So anyway, you guys, so I was talking about running backs, right? So Dion Lewis, Darrell Henderson, Myles Gaskin, the running back from Miami. He's also, that's 2 weeks back-to-back with a decent amount of fantasy points. So that's a good option for you. If you need a wide receiver, I think anybody from Jacksonville is actually usable right now because of that Minshew mania going on. And I don't think hardly anybody picked up any receivers from Jacksonville. So you have like Keelan Cole, and this guy I've never heard before, to be honest, Laviska Shenault. I don't know if it's a rookie because I've never heard that name before. But those are two Jacksonville receivers that have actually produced pretty good numbers. Also, Sterling Shepard is one of the injured players this week, right? So Golden Tate, he's a free agent right now, so he might be a good pickup as well, right? So that's for the Giants, in case you didn't know. Not too many tight ends. Tight ends are already super rare, unless you have, of course, an injury that they're going to be replaced. But the biggest one was obviously Jordan Reed that Charles missed out on. Actually, your other tight end did really good anyway. But Jordan Reed replaced Kittle. He did a really good job on that. But Kittle might actually return back for week 3. So Jordan Reed might not be that great if Kittle were to play. But keep an eye on that. Or you could take a risk, pick him up just in case, right? You never know. Jordan Akins from Houston. This might be a good pickup as well. And Dalton Schultz, Dallas tight end. Both of those had a pretty good weeks on week 2. So that might be a good pickup if you need a tight end. Defense and kickers, we don't really mess around with those too much. But you could simply just look at the free agencies for those if you were to need those. Now, again, I normally don't do this because of conflict of interest. But again, some of you guys don't have as much time to devote on your fantasy team and look into who's free or possibly your waiver wire priority. Remember, from the beginning of the season, the first pick overall automatically goes to the bottom of the waiver wire, so they'll have 12th pick or 12th priority. If you drafted 12th, you automatically go to first, right? So if you haven't used it, you should be pretty high up there. However, I looked that up for you. So waiver wire priority, meaning if you are number 1, that means if there's any one player in the free agency, you should be able to get it because you have the number 1 priority. But of course, you either have to drop somebody or place somebody on your IR so you could, squish somebody in extra. But this is the order we have right now, which is Tuesday, which, by the way, I was able to get Tuesday out from work today. So yes, this video will come on Tuesday, which today is September 22nd, 2020. So yeah, my schedule has been a little different lately. So I used to put out videos on Tuesday, but last week it was on Wednesday just because I had to work Tuesday, so. But that's just how it went. This week, Tuesday, that's why this waiver wire wanted to be a big priority on this video. So, ready? Mr. Cody, you're the number 1, sir. Anyone in the free agency is yours. Whoever you want, take it. Followed by Anthony, Tyresa. I'm number 4, Terrence is 5, Gabriel is 6, Aaron 7, Jay 8, Tony, number 9, Lino 10, Michael 11, and Charles is dead last with 12. So again, if you have the number 1 priority, submit your waivers today, because Tuesday is waiver wire pickup day, meaning this is when you do your research and you start doing your waiver wire selections. Because on Wednesday, early morning, sometimes almost Wednesday at 12:30 in the morning, bam, sometimes they go through that early. But yeah, so Tuesday is your research day, you guys, because waiver wires kick in Wednesday morning, and if you didn't do your homework on time, the player that you were hoping to get will most likely be gone. Okay? Alright guys, so yeah, that was a very special, lengthy section on waiver wires and injury, just because it's such a big deal right now. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, you need help with anything, I'm your man. Please let me know. I'll be more than glad to assist. So, are you guys ready for the MVT, which we already know? Alright guys, so our MVT is Mr. Gabriel. That's right. 286.62 fantasy points, which is very, very, very good. You know, I should have, like, as a matter of fact, if I could do it while on camera, if my computer turns on, which it was lagging. Check it out. I have it right here. Oh, no, I don't have it. I thought I had it. All right. I'll have to look into it. I'm trying to find out like how high, you know, this 286 was. I mean, it's really good. I mean, last year the highest was Anthony with 298. So I mean, that was really good. The year prior, Donkey Punch, so Cody, 287. So the highest score on 2018 was 287. We just hit 286 this year. 2017, Aaron hit 259. So we're already blowing those numbers out of the water. 2016 was 280. 2015 was 288. And the whopping 2014 by Tyrese at 316.75. So I mean, 286 is definitely already blew some of those older or previous years' highest records. So keep it up, dudes. And of course, oh, by the way, and this week we had 4 teams go over 200. So a lot of fantasy points out there this past week. And of course, check out the donkey. That's right. So Cody, 135.5. It's good. I mean, I was the donkey last week and I had like 137, you know, so we were right there. So there's nothing to be ashamed about. Okay, except for this guy. I can't miss that video, right? So Cody or donkey of the week. Very nice. All right, guys, so I'm going to conclude this video because, you know, I like to talk a lot, and if I keep going. So we got our highlighted players. We have their injuries, a lot of notable ones. Like I said, this big list right here, which I didn't want to get you bored. Le'Veon Bell, by the way, he's expected to play week 5, so don't forget about him. Right here, Mostert, right? He might actually play week 4. Sterling Shepard, turf toe. Damian Harris, right? So he's supposed to be returning week 4 to 5. So yeah, a lot of stuff, guys. Sammy Watkins, protocol and concussion. So anyways, guys, so wish you guys good luck this week. It's week number 3. That's a better number than 2 because 2020 has too many 2s on it. So week 2, follow that 2020 trend. So let's make week 3 successful. Do your waiver wire pickup, and I will see you here next week for week 3 recap. All right, guys. See you later.